Welcome everyone to the clash of super talents of Indian chess. We have Praggnanandhaa on the screen taking forward. He has the black pieces today and he is half a point behind his opponent, the 17-year-old Gukesh. Pragg adjusts all his pieces. This is a golden opportunity for him to get into the lead of this tournament by beating Gukesh. But striking with the black pieces against the man in form is not going to be easy. Gukesh is in joint lead along with Jan Nepomniachtchi, and he managed to win a beautiful game with the black pieces against Vidit Gujarati in the previous round. This time he has the white pieces and there he is. He takes his chair and he has had a good score against Praggnanandhaa recently. Gukesh did beat Pragg in their first encounter at the Candidates, and that too with the black pieces. You would remember Pragg went all out, sacrificing pawn after pawn, but Gukesh held on and managed to score that win. That actually became a very important game, which has made Gukesh still be half a point ahead of Pragg, but Pragg has recovered well in this event. And there you have, shake of hands, and we will witness another exciting encounter. I always keep reminding myself that these two youngsters could very well have played in Chennai because they live just a kilometer apart from each other, but here they are on the other side of the globe in the Great Hall in Toronto with one e4 by Gukesh. And Pragg, what is he going to respond with? We are all very excited for Pragg's opening ideas because he played the French with Fabi, he played that f5 move with Vidit. He's here for interesting ideas. Well, for now, he's just played e5, staying very solid against Gukesh. Also, Pragg maybe is slightly more careful against Gukesh because he knows that Gukesh loves crazy positions. Gukesh is one of those players who likes to create a mess on the board. And right now, Gukesh also going for a solid opening. It's the Ruy Lopez that has been played. And now Pragg plays a6, the main line. You will notice sometimes Pragg turns around and watches backwards. That's because there are big screens over there and he can follow other games without having to get up. So the knight comes out to f6. So mainline stuff in the Ruy Lopez. I think if you castle, Pragg might just take on e4 and play the open Ruy Lopez, and that's why Gukesh goes for this d3 line, which if I'm not mistaken, even Hikaru played with Pragg. Bishop comes out to c5, and now you can see the times. Both have 1 hour 58 minutes, but Gukesh makes a kind of a deep think of around 7 minutes and then chops off the knight. Maybe he just didn't feel like playing what he had prepped and wanted something new. So pawn takes on c6, and now how does Gukesh continue? He plays his pawn to c3, which is not very commonly played. We have only 3 games here. Generally, after you take knight d2 is one of the main moves. We have seen Magnus play this. So Pragg now takes 5 minutes and plays his queen to e7. The position is very, very interesting and exciting because there is an imbalance. Black has the bishop pair, white has nice pawn structure. I would generally think that black is doing very well in such positions because you've just got the bishop pair without much problems. But I think Gukesh seems to know what he's doing. He plays h3 very quickly, and now I believe that he will just castle here. No, he first goes with his knight to d2. He improves the position of his knight, and maybe the knight can come to c4 in order to attack d6 and e5. Pragg goes for the move a5. A very interesting idea. He's gaining space on the queen side, and also maybe at some point he would like to play b6 and put his bishop on a6 down this diagonal. One of the other ideas, definitely instead of a5 he goes knight d7, was to simply get this bishop out and long castle and then go for an attack with g5 g4. But now with this having happened, I think you cannot long castle after you played the move a5. So knight has come here, and now b6 played by Pragg, and Gukesh takes. You somehow get this feeling that now white has managed to get rid of black's bishop pair, so the position no longer has that imbalance of pawn structure and the bishop pair. But now I feel the small imbalance is that the bishops are of opposite color. So bishop g5 played, attacking the queen. White has a small lead in development. I would imagine f6 to be played to kick the bishop away, but Pragg goes knight f6. And you can feel it, that Gukesh has a small edge, like queen b3, softening this up, d4 coming up. He plays his knight to d2, maybe looking for knight c4 ideas to press here, or f4 just to open up his rook. Pragg pushes the bishop away. I think you want to keep this bishop. You don't want to take on f6. So that's the reason why he comes back. Bishop e3 is played. Now attacking this pawn on b6. Gaining some time. He goes bishop a6. So the thing is, if you take here, then bishop takes d3 is possible. This is playable, and in fact Gukesh must be considering it. But he goes queen c2. He goes for this, defends this pawn, still attacks here. And now Pragg has to decide how to defend that pawn. He can go, yes, he goes knight d7, and he defends this pawn on b6. And Gukesh now can attack the center with f4. He does it. He does this beautifully. He attacks with f4, and now Pragg has to play calmly, or else he might get into some trouble here. He takes the pawn, and now Gukesh can take with the bishop. He's thinking he can also take with the rook and then double. He takes with the bishop. And if now black goes knight e5 to put pressure here, I can always push c4. So for now Pragg has just castled, and Gukesh brings his other rook into the game. So you will see that white's position does look more harmonious. The pawns are well positioned, rooks are in place, the pieces are nicely put here. Knight comes to e5, and it's been attacked by the bishop and knight. Now d3 pawn, you can play rook e3, moving your rook up, but he plays c4, just blocking the bishop out. It's becoming quite a strategic game here. Pragg hitting that point again. If you take here, he will be more than happy to take with the bishop, continuing to create play. So Gukesh bolsters that structure with b3, and you can see that he has this nice little position going on. And Pragg pushes c5 here, and perhaps he just wants to stop d4 in the position. Gukesh goes knight f3, and he says that if you take, I will take with the rook, and I will have good attacking chances with my bishop and rook being there. So Pragg actually brings his knight back and does not trade it for the time being. And let's see what Gukesh does. Gukesh puts his bishop back to g3. I still feel that white has good potential here. His bishop more active. Black bishop looking at granite. Queen comes to d7 here. What's the queen doing here is a question. But Pragg just slowly trying to improve his position. Knight h2 is a wonderful idea, because knight g4, knight e3, knight f5, the knight is being maneuvered slowly, and Pragg creates play with a4. That was his idea. That's a good move. Good move. He's trying to create play on the other flank. Gukesh jumps with his knight, and you can notice that there are some ideas of some checks and all coming in, so have to be careful as Pragg. And now pawn takes b3 has happened. I think he will also take back with the pawn. Yes, pawn takes on b3, and now he takes on c4. I think you want to take back with the b pawn so that these pawns are together. Taking with the d pawn would isolate the e pawn. So b takes c4, and now very few pawns are left, but still what is being left on the board looks much better for black, for white than black. And now maybe there is rook f6. You can't take, I have here, but then black can go rook a6 and defend. So somehow this pretty move doesn't work. So Gukesh goes rook b1. He wants to maybe enter from b6 to put pressure here. And Pragg goes rook a6 to defend. So calmly playing here, Praggnanandhaa. Queen f2, and white again lining up his pieces to put pressure on black's camp. And it will be interesting to see how Praggnanandhaa responds to this. He plays his bishop to c8, and I think this is a key move. With this, he shows that his bishop is going to play against this knight. So if he can put the bishop on e6, it will control the two important squares. So the knight goes to e3. It wants to come to d5 or f5. And so Pragg now goes queen a7. And this is such a cool move, because with this he is trying to enter here. He's also freeing up the e6 square for the bishop. Very well done there. Rook b2 played. And Pragg now can go bishop e6, but he decides first to play his rook to d8, just defending the d6 pawn. And Gukesh also needs to somehow wait, because if you go jump in with knight to d5, I'm going to go bishop e6 and I'll be happy to chop off this knight. So he goes king h2, asking Pragg, what are your plans? And Pragg, I think, will now move in with his rook to a3. Yes, he plays it. And that was the point behind rook d8. To defend here so that this rook can come in and start attacking the weakness on d3. Well, it would be quite sad if the rook from f1 had to go and defend here. So he puts the queen. But even that looks a little bit passive, right? So somehow black is making inroads. Bishop comes to e6. Keeping an eye on this position. And now knight to d5. Gukesh anyway moves in. Will Pragg take the knight? I think Pragg is right now not worried so much about the knight, because it doesn't have any real good possibilities. So he goes rook a1, and he tells Gukesh that I'm going to trade one pair of rooks. If Gukesh doesn't trade there, then Pragg will do it now with rook b1. I think Pragg can take. He takes on b1. Rook takes b1. You will see that with 4 moves to make, Praggnanandhaa has 5 minutes on the clock. Gukesh has 8 minutes on the clock. So they have handled their clock time quite admirably. And f6 played. So now with this move, this entire structure is solidified. There is no breakthrough with e5 coming in. And he plays his rook to b3. Both of them want to at least test each other until move number 40, where the time pressure is lurking in. 3 minutes for Pragg, 7 minutes for Gukesh. Knight comes to e5. Do you want to take the knight? Well, he plays queen b2, trying to enter via b7. What will Pragg play? He takes on d5, pawn takes on d5, and now he has the knight very nicely positioned in the center of the board, but the bishop can take it at any point. He wants to play his queen. He moves it with 2 minutes left, and I think the point is that if you go rook b7, I have rook d7. So that's the reason why Pragg goes rook queen e7, and Gukesh moves in with his rook. Nonetheless, Praggnanandhaa, can he defend with rook d7 here? Yes, I think he can. So he plays his rook to d7, yes. And by the way, 40 moves are completed. Gukesh has 35 minutes. Pragg has 31 minutes. You can see Gukesh coming back to the board, playing rook b8 check. This is move number 41, and writes down the move and waits for Pragg to arrive. Pragg comes in and offers a draw while Pragg is still not seated. He says that this is my draw offer to you because I don't see any advantage. Pragg opens a bottle of water, starts drinking. Maybe it's a decision he has to make. He's always fighting, and a draw offer by Gukesh means that he has maybe some chances here, is what he might think. And he agrees. Well, he doesn't want to continue playing, and I think a very, very fair result to the game. Nicely played by both sides. I would say Gukesh was slightly pressing in the game, not much, while Pragg was very, very solid. He never let Gukesh's advantage run out of hand, and in the end it was a draw. Gukesh himself feeling that the advantage had gone away, but with this Gukesh still maintains a half a point lead over Praggnanandhaa in the tournament and leads with Jan Nepomniachtchi. Pragg will have to score one win in order to join them at the top. Will not be easy, but today both of them keep their chances at this candidates alive, and it will be interesting and exciting to see the next rounds. For now, the two Chennai boys can go back to their room and take some rest in peace because they fought well against each other and it was a draw.